Now, today's episode is not about the Bible. It's not about Noah's Ark. It's about Ark Survival Evolved, Ark Survival Ascended, whatever it's called now. It truly was, I don't know if I should say ahead of its time. I mean, okay, it was ahead of its time, as in it really wasn't like any other game. But as far as innovation, I don't know. I've played that game on 2 consoles and computer and my PC. And I have it's not like a fantastic PC, but I can run any game on it, no problem. I can't run Ark on it. I can, but it runs like shit. It runs like shit. And they never optimized it ever. Ever. Whether I was on console or I was on PC, they never optimized it. And that's what I really disliked about it. As many of you know, I started off on Xbox. I made a video about Xbox. And then I moved to PC later in life. Every single game that I owned on Xbox, when I moved to PlayStation, it was significantly better. Significantly better. One example of this, out of the hundreds of games that I've owned on both platforms, was Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 on Xbox One is a beautiful game. It is unlike any other game, okay? But when you go into the towns, you really feel that 30 frames per second, like slideshow. You do, you feel it. But it's so fun to play on Xbox, you don't even care. Ark is really rough on Xbox. Now, when you move over to PC, Red Dead Redemption 2 is like its own benchmark. It's amazing. I can run Red Dead Redemption 2 at like 120 FPS, max settings. Maybe the shadows are like one setting down, but it runs good. No crashes, no stuttering, no anything. Perfect. Ark, on the other hand, runs the exact same on my computer that it does on my Xbox. Maybe it looks like 15% better. Like the graphic quality is like 15% better, but it's like the same frame rate, the same like meshing and shit. It looks like shit. How old is Ark? It's like 10 years, isn't it? And it just runs like absolute shit. And they keep coming out with these updates, and it just gets worse and worse every single time. Now, I want to also say, I do not play a lot of Ark, at least not anymore. I always preferred Rust. Now, a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that, but I did always prefer Rust. I always felt that Rust felt a little bit more grounded, and that's what I liked. In Ark, I just had like the go-to tames. I never, ever, ever dabbled in like breeding. I never even added like electricity to my base. Never. And I never really did in Rust, to be fair. But Rust runs well on my computer. That's the biggest difference. When I'm playing Rust, if I get like a Discord notification or something, I can Alt-Tab out of Rust. If I want to go AFK in Rust and I want to like pull up like a YouTube video, I can pull up a YouTube video and play Rust at the same time. In fact, Ark is somehow, out of the hundreds of games I have in my Steam library, the worst one to play on my computer. And trust me, it's not my computer. It's not. One thing I want to talk about, and this also has to do with performance, is the reason I'm making this episode is because very, very recently I came across a YouTuber who does specifically Ark content, and I watched a couple of his videos. Now, he has moved on to Ark Survival Ascended, like I feel like most people have. I'm still on Evolved because I'm never going to pay for Ascended. I play Ark once every 3 years, probably, for like a week. Even in his videos on a super nice PC, really, really good graphics, the game still runs like shit. And I think it's one of those things where if you play a lot of Ark, you just get used to it. That's it. And I feel like that's what Ark has such a problem with new players, is new players are kind of spoiled. And by spoiled, I mean they like to play games that play. Now, the reason I can even play Ark is because I have played Ark in the past. And I grew up playing games where, you know, it was like 10 FPS or no FPS. But in the modern day, brand new gamers, you can't go from playing Fortnite at uncapped FPS, like 240 FPS, to like 10 or 15 whenever you get close to a big dino. No new player, no Zoomer really is ever going to play Ark. That's just the case. And that's why it's having such a player like low player numbers, which is really sad because it does have the potential, but you know, I tried playing it last week and it just wouldn't fucking load at all. You get onto the main menu and you press like one thing and it doesn't do anything. And then you can't press any other buttons. It like locks your mouse out of pressing any other buttons. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? And I looked it up and it's like been like a known issue for like 8 months. It was something where I had to downgrade my Ark to like pre-Aquatica, which was like one of the updates. So I literally downloaded Ark, tried playing it for like 2 hours, couldn't even get out of the main menu. Literally was just in the main menu, just crashing over and over and over again. Looked it up. Everyone was like, oh, you just have to downgrade to pre-Aquatica. Had to do that. That took like literally another 2 hours because it's a 100 gigabyte game, 150 or 170 or whatever. And it finally worked. And it runs like shit. I hadn't played Ark in like 5 years and it still runs like shit. And I know they're never going to fix it because they would have, 10 years ago. So it's a real shame. I think that's what's really holding it back. So unless they come out with Ark 2, like a real Ark 2, not Survival Ascended, which apparently was their whole thing. They apparently Survival Ascended was supposed to fix all the issues. And if I'm being honest, I didn't really care enough to research if they did, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if they didn't. It just seems like they've just put it in Unreal Engine 5 or 4, whatever it's in, and just called it a day. Charged another $60 for it. So it's a real shame. I have a little bit of nostalgia for Ark. Like I said, I mostly played Rust, but I probably have about 300 hours in it. I mostly played on public servers, but then the latency just got so bad, I just switched to private, and even then, it's still just so terrible. And I have a feeling that it's going to be like truly dead in like 10 years. The same people who are playing Ark now will be playing Ark in 10 years, but there will be no new players at all. Not at all. And there won't be any casual players either. There won't be people like me who only play it every couple of years, because my experiences so far with it has been so bad. Unless I'm really, really, really in the mood, once I'm done with it, once I've had my fix, in a week or two, I won't be touching it again for quite a while, which is a real shame. It's a damn shame. But I want you to think about that. Think about that. Ark Survival Evolved, Ark Survival Ascended, had a good run. It did. It had a lot of potential, lived up to some of it, not all of it, but, it just suffered from the same issues that a lot of those big sandbox open world games do, but eventually they fix them, but I guess Ark never did. So I appreciate you listening to this, and I will see you tomorrow.